You've got a Garmin handheld GPS device. In this video, we're just going to show you some of the options you've got for maps. We've also got a video just giving you an example of some maps loaded on the screen of a handheld GPS device and where you can change detail level depending on the type of map you've got. So if you bought a Garmin GPS device, you may have purchased it with a map card for the country that you're in. So if you're in Great Britain, you may have purchased your handheld device with an Ordnance Survey map card. Some of the Garmin handhelds come preloaded with Garmin's Topoactive European maps. So if you're traveling to Europe, you might find that mapping is sufficient for what you actually need. I've already done a small example on a video showing you on a handheld device of what the map style looks like, but I'm going to show you on Garmin's Basecamp software as well as we go through this video what the Garmin preloaded European maps look like. And you do get free updates for life. You can use a program called Garmin Express on a computer to update those maps. Depending on the unit you've got, you may be prompted to put a memory card in or just download a certain area of Europe if you haven't got enough memory on the unit, but you do get free updates for life. So I'm just going to show you just an example of some of the units that come with the preloaded European maps. So from the GPS store, gpstraining.co.uk, handheld units, and if I'm looking at the Garmin units, things like the GPS map 65, 65S, the GPS map 67, the Montana 700, the GPS 66I, the 67I, Montana 700I, Montana 750I, they come with the Topoactive Europe maps preloaded. If I just pick an example, the GPS map 67, it says with European Topoactive maps in the map options. If you do purchase with one of the Ordnance Survey Great Britain map cards, you still actually get that European mapping on the memory of the unit, but you also get an Ordnance Survey map card. So going to Europe, we do have a number of units in the Garmin range that have that European mapping already on, but it might be you need something a little bit more detailed, or you've got a Garmin unit that didn't come with the European mapping. So on our GPS store, we've got a heading called Maps. If I go into Maps, you can just type in a country in the search box at the top. So if I was to type in France and hit enter, anything to do with France will come up on the screen. So we've got some open street maps. They're the more basic maps, but if you've got no mapping at all with your unit and you didn't buy your unit with Topoactive Europe maps, we can do a map card. It's a micro SD card that we post out to you with the map style you can see on the screen here loaded onto the map card for the country that you've picked. We also have other countries available, as you see in the drop down box here. We have regions as well, so we've actually got areas covered here on the different regions, and we'll send it out on a micro SD card. What's nice with these maps, they do have elevation data built in, so if you were planning a route in something like Garmin's Basecamp software using this mapping with your GPS device connected to a computer, as you plan your route, you will be able to view an elevation graph of the elevation profile based on the data built in to the map. If you haven't got a unit with any European mapping and you want something a bit more detailed, or you go into a country where Garmin have produced their own topo maps other than the Topoactive Europe maps that you've got preloaded, and you potentially want something more detailed, there are options as well. So when you're on our map store, so under GPS store and maps, where you see any Garmin map cards and you're looking for a certain country, let's have a look at the France one here as an example. When you click on a map card for a country where we've got the Garmin maps, in the overview it'll tell you where that map data comes from, whether it's got elevation data built in. So if it says digital elevation model, that means if you used it in Basecamp software and planned a route, you will see an elevation graph, tells you the interval of the contours, and it gives you information about where that mapping comes from. So have a read of that information, make sure that's what you're looking for, and we can order in these map cards for you. They can take a couple of weeks to come in. We often get them in a lot quicker, but if you give yourself just a little bit time, just in case, don't try and order them just a couple of days before your trip away. It tells you the coverage as well, where it covers. So this one's a full France one. You can see exactly where it covers, and also the Corsica and the other territories listed here. And we have the compatible devices listed as well. So if I come back out of there and just scroll down the list, we've actually got one for Norway here. So if I click on the Norwegian one, again, if there's any screenshots, you can look at those. But actually, when we go down on the overview here, it gives you lots of information about the scale, what's included with that mapping, where the contour lines are. And once it fully loads, you will have the overview tab where you can look at the location as well, where it's actually covering. This one again, it is a full Norway one. It's just some of the French ones we do have regions, so when you click on the region, it will show you where that covers. So they're the sort of options that are available. So there's often more detailed ones if Garmin have got their own map, but bear in mind you might find your Topo European map is sufficient for what you need. If a country isn't listed in the maps list, so again, when you go to our GPS store and maps and you can't see your country listed that you're looking for, please give us a ring or send us an email from our contact form, and it may be we can still source that mapping for you. But that's just giving you an idea there. We've got a couple of pages of maps available, and the OpenStreetMap, when you click on that one, there's actually a drop down box there with the various countries that we've got available. So the other thing I was going to show you, if I go on to Garmin's Basecamp software here, which you can put on a Windows or a Mac computer, I've got a GPS Map 67 device connected, and when I scroll down the top left of the screen, I can see any maps that I've got on my unit. So I've actually got the Topo Active Europe 2023 Central, East and West. So I've used Garmin Express to update those maps. If you purchased a device from GPS Training, remember you do get our online training course free for a year, where we've got loads of videos that cover all the new handheld devices, and we cover updating maps with Garmin Express, the European maps, or in the case of the 67 GPS Map 67, 67i, you can actually update the European maps using Wi-Fi. So the latest version is 2023. Often the preloaded one you get maybe one of the older versions from a few years ago, but you do get free updates for life. We cover that on the online course videos. And if you haven't got enough memory on a unit, some of the smaller units don't have enough memory for full Europe, you do get options in something called Map Manager, where you can pick one of the three regions depending where you're going, or you would have to put a different memory card in if you wanted the full Europe for a full European trip. So in my Basecamp software, I've just going to move across to France just as an example to show you, and I've actually created on my view and toolbars, this is on a Windows computer, I've added a box called detail level. I know on a Mac you have a little detail level bar hidden at the bottom of the map screen, so it's slightly different. Again, we cover this on the online course videos that you get as part of your package. This video here isn't meant to be an in-depth training video, it's just to give you an idea of what the maps look like. But with that detail level bar that I'm going to just add onto my Windows computer here, I've then got a bar in the top left of the screen which is normally says medium. I'm just actually going to put it down to quite a low setting so the map loads a little bit quicker, and in my maps menu I'm just making sure I've got the Topo Active West Europe selected, and then I'll move over just to France as an example, and then I'm just going to zoom in. It can load a little bit slow the first time you use them, so I normally find the best thing is just to zoom in slowly, let it settle down, starts to load. It gets quicker and quicker the more you use it, and then I zoom in a little bit closer on the area that I want, and then in this detail level box that I've added from the view, or on the Mac it would be at the bottom of your map screen, you increase the detail level. If I knock it up a little bit now and let it start to load, you can see I get a lot more information, and if I put it to the highest setting, a lot more information. So it's not a bad map considering you get this free for the whole of Europe, and when you move around in the countryside there is trails marked. When I move around, if I click on something with a cursor, so if I left click on this dotted line here, it's giving me some information about it, telling me that's an unpaved track, telling me what route that is there. So these maps are free for the whole of Europe. So if you're doing some research and you've got a unit with a European map in, use Garmin Express, or if you've got the 67 and you're watching our videos on the online courses that you get included, we've got videos on updating the maps for free using Wi-Fi. Get the latest 2023 version on. It's a lot more detail than the older versions. We're starting to get contour lines as well. The one thing though I will say with the Topo Active Europe maps, if you're planning a route yourself using the route tools in Basecamp. They don't have elevation data built in. We do see some contour lines, but we don't have elevation data built in, so you won't get an elevation graph. Whereas if you were to buy one of the basic sort of open street maps that mightn't be as detailed map wise, they're still nice maps to look at. If you actually look at the screenshot here, it's not that it's not detailed, maybe not as detailed as the new version of TopoActive maps, but one advantage is with the open street maps. So I'm just going to go back to my basic camp software. I've actually got one loaded here for Portugal, so I'm just going to put this one on the screen. When we actually plan on one of the open source maps that we've got, you do actually get elevation data. So when you draw a route across the screen, and if I was to pick the route tool here and just draw a route across the screen, so if I was following a path, I'm just doing this really roughly just to give you an idea, sort of stuff we cover in our online course videos. When we actually look at that route, I can actually get a graph up with elevation data. But when we plan on the TopoActive Europe map, so if I go back to my TopoActive map, so I'm just going to change that now to a different map, still a nice map to look at, but when we actually plan a route, we don't get the elevation data that we get on the open source maps. It's not built in, so that might be a reason why you might want to buy one of those other open source maps. So I'll just go back to our website, the GPS training website. So just remember GPS store, and under the maps, that's where we've got all the maps. Finally, when we talked about the online training courses, remember if you have purchased a GPS from GPS Training, you've got your gold support free for a year, so you'll be able to click on online resource and sign in. And when you sign in on our online resource with the username and password we've given you, under the courses, we've got all the different GPS devices listed, also the Basecamp software. And in those devices, remember when you click on the GPS devices, so if I look at the 67 here, this is an idea of all the videos that you've got access to, and we have got videos that cover updating your maps with Wi-Fi, also updating maps using the Garmin Explore. So all those sort of videos are in here. You can see here downloading Garmin's TopoActive maps using Wi-Fi, and when you click on these, you can watch a video where we show you how to do that. If you haven't purchased your GPS device from us, under our GPS store we do have support packages, and you can purchase the online training course, or you can purchase something like our bronze support package, which gives you the online course as well as email support, and that's covering all of the current handheld GPS devices that we sell that you can see in our GPS store. But we hope you found this video useful and just giving you an idea of the sort of map options available. Remember, if you can't see a map listed that you're after for a country you're going to, please do contact us via the contact form, and it still might be a map that we can actually source for your Garmin handheld device. And thanks for watching.